Welcome everybody. Today we're going to talk about building a calendar in Power Apps that will simulate all the on-prem features from the old calendar, at least as much as I could. Remember, because I don't have access to it anymore. It's going to include recurring events, it's going to include single events, it's going to have conditional formatting, and a whole bunch of other stuff. So let's get started. Alright, so of course, like always, all my apps have a SharePoint backend, so we're going to create a SharePoint list that's going to contain the data for our app, right? So right here, I created a list called CanReview-Calendar, and the back side of it is pretty simple to set up, which I'll include in Excel that has all the details on how to set this up. You'll have to do it manually because you can import it from the Excel, but it won't come out right. But you're just going to create these events, and these are the data types. The only thing worth a note, these two are normal, that's normal, that's normal. Category is just your type of event. You can configure it how you want. Mine's got meeting, event, discussion, and holiday. Okay, I put holiday in there because it affects, if we're doing a work calendar, holidays do affect when you work and when you don't. So I put that in there. Link invite. If you have an online meeting, and they need to go to a link somewhere to join the meeting or join the discussion or whatever you're doing, that's good to have. Whether it's reoccurring or not, yes or no. Level event, I'm not going to put that in there. That has something to do with my calendar. It's nothing that you'll ever use. Series ID. Series ID is used for when you have recurring events and helps keep your events together so you can filter it. Date cal and reference date work together. They create a number, right? And then I use the two numbers from the min and a max, find the difference, and that's how many days are in between the first event and the last event of the recurring event, and then I divide it by the number of events, so that way it gives you how many days are in between each event. Current date is today's date. Training coordinator, that's just your POC. Now link display name and link URL is used for the invite link right here. I use some HTML to create that link. And that's pretty much the whole thing. And then if you look at in action, as you've seen when you first came up here, you've seen how I got some data in here already. And we're going to use this list in our app we're building today. Okay. So the app we're building today is going to be this. Okay. So basically, you got your title across the top, current logged on user up here, as you see my picture. Whether they're admin or a user, if they see admin up here, they're an admin. If they see nothing up here, they're a user. Okay. You got your arrows to navigate from month to month. So as you can see, you can go here and then back and back. The label in the middle is your month and year of your calendar that's being displayed. Now you'll notice in the calendar, the grayed out days are the days outside the month that are being displayed, and it's dynamic based off of what month you're in, right? You see as it changes. Down below here you got your days of the week, which is a gallery by itself, and then you got a gallery down here, and then there's a gallery inside each of the days. I click out. So you see there's a gallery right here, and then the gallery for the days. Okay, and then inside each day there's a gallery that's individual events. Okay, inside each day you're going to see it. If you're an admin, you're going to see this little icon to add to the calendar. Okay, that's to trigger a new event. Okay, if you want to edit the series or the single day events, you just click on the name and it will detect if it's a single day or a multi-day. And if it's a multi-day event, then it'll open up the multi-day screen. If it's a single event, it'll open the single day screen, which inadvertently is the same as the new event. It just changes the view mode from new to edit. And if you're a user, it's going to go straight to view. Okay, so there's a lot of dynamics, a lot of automation built into this. There is one flow that you're going to have to build. which it's simply just to see if you're an admin or a user, which is it's like a 3-step thing. But other than that, there's no automating this. Okay, this is all done through Power Apps and SharePoint. Now, if we click a new event, you're gonna click here. It's gonna open up a new event. Now, if it's an all-day event, which that should be up by default, but I guess I forgot to set that. It's going to have your event title, start and end date with date and times, and then your event category, which is, like I showed you, that drop down. Event POC is a people picker, but it's a single line of text on SharePoint. On SharePoint, it's just pulling in the email address, because you can transform your email address to anything you need to into Power Apps. So there's no need to have a people picker on SharePoint too. Okay, here's your event link, and those two fields you've seen in SharePoint, these are it right here, the display link and the URL link. What it does when you hit save, it converts that link into a hyperlink here, because this is a link box. Okay, and then down here you got all day event reoccurring. If you select all day event, it grays out the times and puts it, I forgot to put the 01 there, but as you can see, it puts the rest of it there. And if it's reoccurring, you click this, and if you're an admin, you ain't gonna see this reoccurring. Well, you won't see the new button if you're a user, but you know, number of occurrences, frequency events. This is, you know, days, weeks, or months, so you don't have to put like 83 days or something. You know, you can put like, or 81 days, you put 9 weeks, or 3 months, whatever. And then this is the first day of your occurrences, right? Whatever first day you want it to start, and then you hit generate occurrences. It will save it to SharePoint. It'll create each one individually, and then it'll populate down here in the gallery. Okay, and then you just go back to the thing when it's done. Everything saves as you go. Okay, now if you want to edit an event or add to a series of events and you're an admin, you can click on, if you click on a single day event, it's just going to bring up a single day event, which I don't know why recurring is there. You can modify everything right here. As you can see, it pulls all the information in. If you go to a multi-day event, whatever day you select will show up in the form up here, and then you just select which one you want to change. So if you want to change this one, you go here, update current event. Now, if you want to say the POC is going to change from one person to another, and you want that on every event, you fill this in how you want it, and then you hit update all events, and it'll go through one at a time and change that person's name, or whatever you changed up here, it'll change it. Now, if you want to delete the event altogether and all its occurrences, you just hit remove all events, and it'll remove them. And that's what we're going to build today. Okay, now keep in mind, I'm going to keep each of my videos to an hour long, or ish, you know, anywhere from 50 minutes to an hour and 10 minutes. So the best way to watch this is using my playlist I'll set up and when I'm done, and that way you can see all 4 right there. And I'll have it all in I'll have each video in the comments too. So if you don't want to do a lot of clicking, you can do that way. But let's go ahead and get started. Alright. So here I created a new Power App. I called it video1.calendar. And as you can see, all it is it's got a single screen here. Alright, so we're going to start with the app on start. Okay, the app on start has specific formulas that need to be in here in order to work right. Okay, so I'm going to copy. There's quite a few, so I'm just going to copy and paste it. I'll put it in all these formulas. I'll put in the comments below or in the description, so that way you have them. And then when I copy all of VS Code, it always does this. So I'm going to make them all together. Alright, so you got your current user, which is user function, current date, today's date, first day of month. Okay, the first day of the month is the first day of the current month. This is how it determines it. Okay, and it stores it in a variable. First day of view, first box in the view, this is what's going to show. Last day of the month, same thing as first day of the month, except it's shown the last. And then you got the min date and the max date. It's using the formula later on. I don't remember what it does. All right, so that's your app on start initially. Okay, you were going to add more to this later on, but not right now. We got to establish some stuff first. Okay. Now, first thing we're going to put on here is we're going to put the label that goes across the top. Okay, so we're going to go insert text label, and then we're going to drag it across. Okay, so in this, you're going to have your title of your calendar. So we'll go training calendar. I'm going to make it bold. I'll make it like 30, and then I'm going to center it. Okay. I'm going to make the background color a dark blue color. So we'll do like this one. And then I'm going to make the text so it stands out more, make it white. Okay. Now within this label here, I'm going to add an image. I'm going to add an image of myself, which will be not me, it's whoever's logged into the form. Okay. I'll move him over here. Then, since we're doing the current logged on user, we're going to use the user. Whoops. Skipped a step. We need to add a data source of Office 365 users. Okay, so you do that. You go to your data source, hit add data, go to connectors, scroll down. You'll see Office 365 users. Use your pre-existing connection or create a new one if you need to. And then we're going to do Office 365 users dot user photo, and then we're going to use our email address as our ID, and that'll pull in the photo if there is one. Okay, and then we're going to insert a text label over here. I wasn't trying to drag it, I was trying to extend it. We're going to change our font color to white so you can see it. And then it's going to say welcome, comma, and then we're going to use the user function, full name. Now you can use anything you want. You can make it, you can make it, you can use the display name off your profile, you can use the email address, whatever you want to display there, it's fine. Full name's easier because that's automatically going to be there, it's part of Power Apps. Okay, so that's our top row. Okay, the next row is going to be our calendar information, right? So we're going to put in another text label, since nothing's going to be modified. We're going to extend it all the way across, just like we did with the other one. Now, we're going to, again, we'll make this like 25. We don't want it quite as big. We're going to bold it. We're going to center it. We're going to make the color white, which will disappear for a second. And then we're going to make our background color a lighter blue. Okay? And then instead of having double quotes there, we are going to use this formula to determine the month that we're currently in. Okay. Now, since I haven't ran the app on start yet, we'll have to do that in order to see what that month is. Okay. So we'll go app on start, run on start. Shows our month and our year of the month we're currently in. Okay. Now, when we put our arrows in, it will make it change. Okay. So Oh, just as a practice, make sure you rename your screens and stuff. So I'll go main. Whoops, not mail. Main. That's my main screen. Now my label. So I'll put LBL current month. This label is going to be the current logged on user, so we label current logged on user. I don't like spaces, so you guys can do these however you want. This is our image current logged on user, and then this is our title. So okay, so that way you know what each one of these things do. Now I'm not going to do this with all of them, but I'll do it with most of them. Alright, so that's our header information. Now we need to put in our arrows. So I click inside this label here. I go insert. I search for left so I don't have to look for it. Now you can use this one, or you can use a different. So you got different arrows. You can do this back arrow, you can do this left arrow. So we're going to do this one. Alright, that's way too big, right? So we're going to make it smaller. Put it down here. We're going to make it white so we can see it. Because right now it's not very visible. I compressed the crap out of that, didn't I? There, that works. Okay, so there's that. And then I'm going to make another one. We're going to bring it over here. And then I thought I could change what it's called. Must not be in my, must not be an icon. So let me see something here real quick while I'm doing this. I wonder if that's something else here. Just bear with me for a second here. Oh, it's a back. Oh, it's not an arrow to go back. It's not the one I was thinking of. It's something different. So let's get rid of both of these. It's not what I wanted. Come on. Delete. And delete. Alright, let's try this again. Insert. Left. This one right here. Okay, so we're going to make it white. And I'm going to click on it again, copy paste. Put this over here. We're going to change this to a right arrow. Okay. And then our formula for that to make it move our left arrow is this. Like I said, I'll put all these formulas in here so you don't have to. I'm trying not to type out a lot of stuff I don't have to during the video. Okay. Okay. It's resetting all these things for the month prior, basically. Okay. And then we're going to click on our right arrow. And we're going to place this in its place. It's basically doing the opposite of what the other one did. Instead of subtracting a month, it's adding a month. Oh, that was weird I did that. Alright, so if I go ahead and click on these things, see how it moves the months around? That's what we wanted it to do. Okay, now we're going to start working with our galleries. Okay, first gallery we're going to put in here is the days of the week. You know, your Sunday through Saturday. Okay, there's a couple different ways to tackle this. So let's rename this to right next month and icon previous month. Okay, so now we're going to put in our galleries. Okay, so we're going to go insert. First one we're going to do is going to be our blank horizontal gallery, because we're going to only have one row. My internet is really bad today. I apologize for that. We're going to go over here. We're going to take it all across the screen. Okay. For our items, we're going to put in calendar, weekdays long. Okay. Weekdays short, months short, and weekdays short is basically, it's an abbreviation, like a 3-letter abbreviation of each of the things, but I want it spelled out. Okay, and then we're not putting any parameters in here, so we're just going to close it. As you can see, it goes Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, puts our values in there for us. Now, you can do it manually yourself if you really want to, but this is just a faster way of doing it. Now what we're going to do is we're going to set our width of our template width, or template size, to, this is going to be our starting value. We're not going to leave it there because it just depends on how it looks. Okay, we want it to look right. So template size will be parent dot width divided by 7. So it's going to take the whole width of the paper and then divide it into 7 sections. Okay, that gives our 7 days, right? Now, depending on how it goes in there, we will probably have to change that 7 to, we'll have to tweak it a little bit. I think I did with my calendar, I set it to 7.3, but we'll start here and go from there. Now inside here, we're going to insert a label, and it's going to have our day of the week in here. Now we want to make this the width of the thing. Now as you can see, it looks right, but when we go to center it, the label like we would normally, look what Saturday does. It's like off the screen, right? So let's go back in here and let's change our size. Just the bigger you make it, the smaller the sections get. Okay, so 7.3 is what I used on mine. But now watch, it made this smaller, but watch what it did to the label. It's beyond the edge of it right now, so let's bring it back to the edge so it looks natural. Now everything looks good, right? Next thing I do is I put a border on here, and then I'll change my, I like using black. Black works better. Okay, and as you can see, it goes all the way across. Now we may have to adjust it some more later on when we put our other gallery in with the days of the month in it, but we'll deal with that as we come. Alright, and see, I made the height about right, so that works good, so I'm going to leave it like that. Next gallery we're going to put in here. Now something we could do too is we can put a background color on our button, on our label, just to give it a more pleasant look. There you go. Now we're going to put it, and then another thing we can do is we can put a background color of our screen. So let's do, I don't want to do too gaudy of a color. That works. Alright, as you can tell, I like blue. It's my favorite color, I can't help it. Alright, so now we're going to insert a, now one thing you can do too is a save space. We could take this, but we could take, this gallery has actually got a buffer built into it. The template padding right here, you can change this to 0. Whoops, not that, sorry. We want a little space in between. We can modify this to like, so it says 100. So it brings it up. It's going to overlap with our label, but it's okay. You know, we don't want to waste space if we don't have to. Alright, so now we're going to insert a vertical gallery for this. But we want a blank one. Okay. And then we're going to basically use the rest of the space we have on our page. Now, as you can see, the Saturday looks like it's in a little bit, and that's okay. We can fix that later. See, we can go like this, and we can shift it around if we need to. So what we're going to do is we're going to connect for our items for this is we're going to use this formula right here. View wrap. Now we need to make it so, like, now you're going to notice on this calendar some months are going to have 6 weeks, some are going to have 5. Okay, that's because of the way the days of the week fall, or the first and the last day of the month fall, and we need to accommodate that. Okay, because we don't want to have just have a 6 week there all the time if it's not being used for anything. So this formula does that. Okay, so we'll put this formula in. So basically it's doing a date difference from the first day to the last day, and if it's greater than 34, it's going to put in through 41, which will make 6 weeks. Otherwise it's going to do 5. That's all this does. Okay, now next thing we're going to do is we're going to put our wrap count. Okay, there's 7 days, so we're going to do our wrap count of 7. And then for our height, for our template height, I don't remember the number. Our template size, wait, no, that's, yeah, our template size, we're going to assume this is going to be 6 weeks, right? So what we'll do is we'll do our gallery, which we're on gallery 4. Whoops. Got to arrow down. Dot template height divided by 6. Why is this thing getting mad? Oh, it's referencing itself. I'm sorry. Oh, it's gallery height. I'm sorry. gallery 4 dot height divided by 6. That way, if you change the height, it'll automatically change the row size. So right now the height is 615. So if you change it to something else, like later on we make the page bigger or something like that and we want to put more stuff in it, it'll make it. So now we got that set up. Okay, so now we're going to click inside, and we are going to, first thing we're going to do is insert a rectangle. Okay, that's going to create our box of each of our things. Okay, so we're going to put a rectangle in here, and then we're going to make it the width. Okay, so it creates our box. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to put a border on it, make it black, and then we're going to go to our fill color and make it transparent. As you can see, it went too far, right? So what we're going to do now is we're going to go back into our gallery and we're going to tweak this a little. So dot 3 seems to be serving us well. Nope, not a little more than that. So we'll go 6. That works. Alright, so you want to have a little extra space there. Now for the rectangle itself, we want our height and width to be whatever is inside the template, right? Because if we change the size later, we don't want to have to manually change the rectangle too. So you click on the width, and basically it's going to be our gallery dot template, since we're doing with our width, okay? And then we're going to do the same thing for our height. Now be careful later on, do not resize this box, because it will go to whatever you set it to, and then it just goes to a hard static number. You got to change it this way, otherwise it won't work right. But you shouldn't have to change it anymore. Boom. Now, if you change the height of the template or the row count, it will automatically stay with it. Alright, so that's that. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to put in the day of the month. Okay. Alright, so the label for the day. So you're going to go insert, label, and then we're going to make it like that. As you can see, it says 0 to 140 to 41, right? But we're not going to do it to value. We're going to set it to something else. Okay, so the text is going to be this formula right here. See what it did? Remember our first day of view and first day of month? It's already there. It's accommodating it, right? So now that we got that in there, icon circle, current date, visible, color white, oh, okay. Now later on we're gonna change the color of the day to something else, but we got to put our next item in first before we can do that. So now what we're going to do is we're going to have it put a circle around today's date. Okay, hence the current day variable. Okay, so next thing we're going to do is we're going to insert a shape. So we open up shapes and we're going to grab circle. Alright, it's obviously way too big, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the width to like 30, and then we're going to change the height to 30, and that looks about right. And then I'm going to move the circle over top of this, and then I'm going to shift it to the back. Okay, so we're going to reorder, send backwards. Okay, you see how what it happens is it puts it on every day, right? But once we put we're going to set our visible property so it only shows up on the current date. Okay, so we still got to do a little modification here. So we're going to set, I think it's the 3, and then let's go to, okay, we'll just go to 0. Just want to make sure it's pretty much center. Now, the label for the day, we're probably going to have to shift it around a little bit so that way it stays centered in the thing, right? Alright, so let's go ahead and mark some of these. Okay, the circle is SAP, circle, current day, and then the label, day of month. Okay, now for this label, I want it to be centered, and see what it does? It pretty much centers it for me. So now I'm going to go back to my circle, and I'll move it a little over one at a time until everything looks right. That looks pretty good. Now we're going to go back to our label, and we're going to make it so whichever's inside the circle, it'll turn it white. But first, let's go ahead and set the current day first. Okay, so we're going to come down to our visible. My mouse will click. Okay, so it's on no matter what right now, right? We're going to add this formula to determine what day of the month it is. And today is the 17th, right? Okay, so now we're going to go back to our label, and we're going to set, so basically what I'm going to do is if it's not today's date, the color of the number is going to be black. If it's today's the current date, I'm going to make it white so it's easier to see. Okay, so we're going back to our circle, and then I'm going to go to the color property, this is a circle, right? Shift circle current day, yeah. Oh no, I gotta be on my label. Alright, let's get off of that. We need to be on our label. And then we're going to go up to color. And we're going to put this. So basically it's going to look at the alright, so you notice my names are different. This is from another app, so it's not necessarily going to be the same thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this, go back to our label, change this to its thing, and as you see how it turned white, and the rest of these are black. No matter which circle is on, it's going to be that white color is going to be in there, and then the rest is going to be black. Now, next thing I want to do is I want to mark the days that are outside the month gray, the whole rectangle. Okay, so I'm going to select my whole rectangle, and then I'm going to grab my now remember we set the fill to something else earlier, right? That was just for temporary purposes. Now we're gonna, now same thing happened. We're gonna grab our label here, name, and put it here. Wait, no, that's not right. Current day of month. I need this one. Oops. God dang it. Go back to rectangle. Paste. There we go. Might help if I get the right one, right? Alright, so yeah, I'm human too, I make mistakes. Alright, so basically what we did now we got established the days of the month. If they're wet boxes, they're part of December. If they're the gray boxes before the 1st, that's November's days. And then the days after the 31st are January. Okay? Just let you know, that way it looks better. Okay? Now, I don't really like the color of gray. I'm going to make this light gray. Okay, so we're going to come in here. You can do whatever color you want. See, that looks a little better. I mean, you can make them any color you want to. Just make them different from what the days of the month are. So that way you can do stuff like that. Okay? Next, we're going to add our events. Okay? And we're almost done with this screen. I got a couple more things to add. So we're going to put a gallery inside a gallery, right? So you go here. Now make sure you don't click in the box. You click in the box, you're going to grab the rectangle. We want to click here, which gives us the individual items of that gallery. And then you're going to go insert, and then you're going to do another vertical gallery. So we're going to layout, blank vertical gallery, and it'll create the gallery inside here. Okay, now we don't want it covering everything, so we want to bring this down a little bit so it's under the number, because we're going to put an icon up here too, so we need to leave space for that. Now the current height of this box right now, you could probably put in 2, maybe 3 items. Okay, this is where extending the workspace may help you. Okay, if you're going to have 5 or 6 things you want displayed in this thing, you're probably going to want to make the boxes bigger, which means you're going to have to make the page longer. And the way you do that, we're not going to do that. But if you do, you go to settings, go to display, and come down here. You're going to change this to default, to custom, and then you're going to adjust the height. Okay, 768 is the typical height. I've made them big enough as 1500, and it'll display just fine, as long as you keep it as a Canvas app. Because inside Power Apps it works just fine, but if you put it on a SharePoint page, it gets wonky. So I'm going to put this back the way it was. Close. Alright. So what we're going to do first is we're going to set up the set up this gallery. Okay, so the gallery inside your day is going to have the following things. Okay, so for our items, we're going to use this formula. So we're going to grab data from our data source. Okay. Now, we haven't added our data source yet, right? That's why we got all these errors. Okay, so let's go back and we're going to add our data source. So we're going to add data, go down to connectors, and we're going to go to SharePoint. Click my connection, and then I'm going to go to my site, and then I'm going to go to my calendar. Oops, I guess I didn't click it. There we go. connect. Now you see you can do multiple ones at one time if you want to. Okay. Of course, nothing's going to show up because we have nothing inside a gallery, right? Because it's blank. We have no labels or anything. So as you can see, all my errors went away. Now you're gonna get these delegation errors. Just ignore them until you get more than 2,000 items in your calendar. You don't have to worry. So long as you keep it under 2,000, those warnings are not going to affect you one way or the other. Just keep an eye on your SharePoint list. Make sure it doesn't get too big, and you can always move your data somewhere else if you need to. Okay, so that sets up our items. Okay, now we're going to set up our, you can only have one label inside here, so you're going to click the little pencil. You're going to go Insert, Text Label. Now, the height's set to 1 right now for some reason, so let's do like 10. 10's a little small. We'll do 20. We gotta be able to read it, right? And then I'm going to set this to like 5, and then our width we'll make it, we want it the width of our thing, right? But we want to take into account that 5 we moved it over. So you're going to go the gallery name, which is gallery 5 dot temp width. See how it goes right at the end? Then we'll go -5. Just take it off the edge a little bit. Okay, so that sets up our label there. Now what we're going to do is we're going to set the text for it. Okay, right now set the compliance ID, which I don't know why it picks those. It's weird. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to grab this formula right here for our label. I don't know why it's getting mad though. This shouldn't be doing this. Data add. Okay, I put the wrong formula in there. I'm sorry. That's my bad. This should be this item dot event which shows our weekly sync, right? And our events that came in here. Okay, and then our on select, when we set this up, alright, actually let's set up the color first. So I'm going to go to my fill. So it's going to work off our category, right? So basically it's going to look at the category item for each thing and set the color, the background color of the label to whatever that corresponds to. Okay. And then I'm going to set the color of our label or the font to white because that black's really hard to see. So we go color dot white. There we go, now we can see it better. So as you can see, it's coming together. In our next video we're going to go over forms. Okay, we pretty much got everything set up. I'm not going to set the on select of this yet because we don't have any forms for it to go to. Because it's basically determine, what form, what mode the form's going to be in, and it's going to determine if it's a reoccurring or a single event. And we'll get into the next video for that. So this is a good stopping spot for this one. So we'll continue on the second part. See you there.